Look at the skyline of Paris today. It's impossible to imagine the city without its centerpiece. But in 1887, leading artists and intellectuals despised it. They circulated petitions demanding the project stop, calling it a monstrous skeleton. It was intended only as a temporary exhibition for the fair. In fact, a strict legal contract dictated that in exactly 20 years, the city would tear the entire structure down and sell it for scrap metal. This architectural blueprint outlines the problem: an intended height of over 300 meters beside the swampy Seine River. To reach this altitude, engineers anchored it with a massive 125-meter footprint, requiring unprecedented, untested mathematics and construction techniques. The man who took on this enormous financial risk was engineer Gustave Eiffel, a bridge builder who bet everything on the tensile strength of iron over traditional stone masonry. Getting this iron giant off the ground was a frantic race against physics, challenging geology, and a fiercely hostile public. The site on the Champ de Mars presented an immediate geological threat. Two of the tower's immense legs were positioned safely on firm, dry soil, but the other two sat right on the soft, waterlogged mud of the riverbank. If that wet earth gave way and the tower sank by even a fraction of an inch, the geometry of the 10,000-ton iron frame would warp, twisting the metal until the structure ripped itself apart. Eiffel borrowed a technique from his deep-water bridges, pneumatic caissons. Pumping compressed air into these massive upside-down iron boxes drove out the river water. This allowed workers to safely dig down 15 meters to solid bedrock and pour massive concrete anchor blocks. Above ground, the second crisis loomed. The construction team had to build all four incredibly heavy iron legs simultaneously, each leaning sharply inward. At these extreme angles, the separate legs were under constant strain from their own weight. If they shifted slightly off trajectory before meeting in the center, they would collapse. To guarantee flawless alignment, Eiffel installed hydraulic jacks inside the base of each leg. Engineers pumped water to lift a 2,500-ton pillar to make millimeter-level adjustments. By March 1888, the four distinct legs met exactly where they were supposed to. They were seamlessly locked together by a massive horizontal iron platform 57 meters in the air. Beating the saturated mud below and mathematically commanding the iron above proved that the foundation was secure enough to push toward the clouds. Past the first platform, gravity was no longer the primary threat. Instead, the engineers had to account for high-altitude wind shear, an invisible force capable of snapping a 300-meter structure in half. Traditional stone monuments resisted the wind by relying on sheer, solid mass. Eiffel did the opposite. He designed an open skeleton to let the wind blow straight through it. He utilized over 18,000 individual pieces of puddle iron. This highly purified industrial metal was incredibly strong in tension, yet flexible enough to absorb extreme lateral stress without fracturing. The defining parabolic curve of the tower was dictated entirely by aerodynamics. The precise sweeping angle catches horizontal wind pressure and channels it directly down the legs, burying that force deep into the unmovable concrete foundations. The calculations were so exact that even during severe hurricane-force winds, the very top of the iron lattice sways a maximum of only 7 centimeters. The iconic romantic silhouette that dominates Paris today is a pure structural manifestation of wind physics and aerodynamic survival. When the finished tower opened in May 1889, it drew millions of awestruck visitors and dominated the exposition grounds. Yet the inflexible 20-year land concession remained in place. As 1909 approached, the city still fully intended to dismantle the iron giant for scrap. Knowing its days were numbered, Eiffel pivoted. He realized he could save his masterpiece if he could prove it was an unparalleled, high-altitude scientific laboratory. The French military quickly recognized the tower's extreme height made it the perfect platform for a giant wireless telegraph antenna. When World War I broke out, this high-altitude equipment allowed French operators to intercept secret enemy radio communications. Those crucial intercepted messages provided the tactical advantage needed to defend Paris during the First Battle of the Marne in 1914. Almost overnight, the structure transitioned from a disposable artistic nuisance into critical national security infrastructure. As a result, the demolition plans were permanently canceled. This infographic displays a tower's modern footprint, charting a 10,100-ton frame that now welcomes 7 million visitors a year. The Eiffel Tower survived its death sentence because radical engineering made it functionally indispensable, allowing a temporary fairground stunt to become a permanent global monument.